Everybody, welcome to the Level With You show. My name is Wiley Olmstead, and this week I am joined by the Taxicab Batman, Kenny Castro, but he's checking some audio levels, so he'll be talking in just a moment, as well as the Do-Artistic one himself, Anthony Duart. What's up, dude?
What's going on? How's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty good. We got a good show ahead for the people today. We're going to be talking about that Oddworld Soulstorm, which just launched today on PS Plus.
Ooh.
Outriders, which has taken the gaming world by storm. There's not a whole lot else coming out, so people are really latching on to it, as well as Kenny over there.
Kenny fought a spider.
Anthony's rolled credits on Monster Hunter Rise, so we're going to get an update from him. And then later on in the show, we're going to be looking at this generation so far, how Sony kind of came out of the gate really strong with their great launch lineup and just the hype that they had set for the console. But over the past several weeks, we've had several missteps from Sony as well as right steps from Microsoft, and it seems like the pendulum might be swinging a little bit in their favor. And but we'll see. It's definitely too early to call. But we're going to be talking about round 3 because we thought that, or at least I thought, and I make the outlines. So PlayStation won round 1, Xbox is winning round 2. And we shall see who wins round 3 in the coming weeks and months. But before we do that, we have to let you know that you can listen to the show on podcast services if you're on the go or just want to hear the audio feed. And you can join our Discord by checking the description below in the YouTube video if you want to talk with us regularly. Please leave us a like, a subscribe, even better. But let's get into the show. Okay, how people feeling today?
Pretty good so far. It's nice outside. I just opened my window. I got some nice fresh air going in. I got the pool lights back on. It's that time of year.
Speaking of pool, Kenny, I remember you mentioning that you were going to be getting one of those.
Ooh.
What's the status?
It's arrived. It's in the backyard. I just have to find time to slave away and set it up.
Right. So what does that involve? You got to do some chlorine stuff. You got to do some water stuff.
Actually, not even that part yet. The first part is actually leveling out enough of the backyard to fit the pool.
So yeah, your yard's on a slight slant, right?
Yep.
So you got to get that stuff
Laid
down so you can plop down a big old pool.
Yep.
You could say that you need to get your backyard to level with you to put this pool up.
I would say so. Yes, indeed.
Stop with the podcasting. We just open up a landscaping business.
That if I had any sort of physical talent, we could totally do that. We could call it the Level With You crew.
Well,
yeah.
If you really think about it, Tyler's the one that has the physical talent when it comes to landscaping.
That's true. He did put up a fence.
You could be the assistant setting up, scheduling.
I'll be the moral support advisor. I bet you guys are doing a great job.
I feel like me and Wiley could be good, like just like second hands, where Tyler just gives us instructions, and we're like, all right, off we go.
You.
He's the boss, and I was wrong. There definitely does take some skill to landscaping. I just never seen somebody mowing a lawn and thought, dang, that guy's knows what he's doing.
Nah, listen, honestly, yeah, I respect people who mow lawns. I've done mines, and I've been out there feeling like it just like in this hot summer. My neighbors come out, they feel bad for me. They see me struggling, bring me cold water. I'm like, I know the missus. She has me out here working with no water.
You don't have a riding one, right?
No, I need to get. That's what I need to get.
Yeah, dude. It makes it so much better, especially in the summer. Like that's what we had. We just got a riding one last summer, but towards the end of the summer, every time I tried to use it, the belt would always come off because it was an older tractor. So I'd end up doing like a quarter of the yard, and then getting off. The belt would come off. It wouldn't mow. So I had to drive back and then take out the push mower and then do the rest of the yard with the push mower.
Love.
So I don't have to mow my lawn because my landlords do it, but I do miss it. From when I was a kid, I'd get paid a few bucks to do it, and I would listen to my iPod, and I'd be singing along like really loud.
Hell yeah!
I thought that I was being completely covered up by the sound of the lawnmower, but my dad just never told me because he thought it was funny.
That's awesome. Nice. Classic dad.
Yeah. So let's see here. Anthony, you keeping up with your commission stuff?
It's That's what I'm doing. I shared a sketch with you earlier of a little idea that I had going on. I've been playing, which we'll get into later, older Digimon World games. It's like a virtual pet simulator. And I thought, what are most monster or collecting and battling games missing? Hot girls. You're right. So
you're right.
You're right. Hot girls. So
wondering if you've gotten any Resident Evil 8, the lady, what's her name?
It's something with a D. Desmond.
I know it when I see it, but I don't know how to pronounce it.
Lady Desmond. I don't know.
Yeah,
Lady D.
Yeah. Yes. Lady Desmond. Lady Dead Booty.
Village, I think has done more to hype that game up than anything else. No,
there's so much porn.
And once they find out that she's only in the game like for 5% of the game, they're gonna be disappointed and ask for refunds. So
they're making a DLC. They got that shit like planned. They're like, get on this. This is gonna.
They have to. She took the internet by storm after the demo.
They were like, damn, we killed her off in the game. We got to bring her back. How do we bring her back?
Boob implants, bigger ones, but zombie boobs.
Wow, just a few weeks away from Resident Evil 8.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, May's gonna definitely have some drops. May definitely has a couple games dropping.
That's cool. What else is dropping in May?
Mass Effect, is that April or May?
That's May. Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which I'm gonna lose most of my life to.
And I know there's a couple more.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple more.
Returnal is April 30th. Might as well be May.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Looking forward to that one.
It's a good month. My birthday's in May.
You'll be able to play it.
I know. I got the PS5. And let's see here. Why don't we get on into what games we've been playing? I've been playing on my PS5 only because I have a PS5 because it's not available elsewhere. Oddworld Soulstorm. What's your guys' history with Oddworld?
Not much, but I love its like wackiness.
I think you'd like the humor, Anthony. Like just the voice acting. It reminded of you when I was just playing it half an hour ago.
Hell yeah.
I'm actually happy you mentioned that you were playing this game because it is free with PlayStation Plus right now. And that reminded me that I need, after the show, to go on my app and add it to my library.
Yeah, for sure. Do that because the only reason that I've been able to play a couple, I didn't do that when I didn't have the PS5 for a couple games, but luckily Tyler did, so I still can play them. But
is it PS5 only?
PS5 only, but but do what he did so you can play it in a few months.
Okay.
So I've only played the first 2 levels. The first level took about 22 minutes of gameplay. It gives you a pretty detailed rundown of what you found and what you missed after each level. The second level took me an hour. It got a little frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. My history with the series is I've always bounced off the games. Back on the PS1, I think they were just too challenging for me as a 8-9-year-old. I think I tried renting it way back when.
Mm-hmm.
I played Oddworld New and Tasty. What this is actually a sequel to.
Really?
A few years ago. Yeah, this is a sequel. It continues on the story. You're playing as Abe, but at this point, you're sort of you're a hero to your species, who are kind of like. It's one of the gimmicks of the game is you see like hundreds of these followers running in the background as you're like unlocking doors and things like that, which really brings the PS5 to, it's impressive in that aspect. Just how many things are going on at the screen. The game is a 2D platformer, but it looks very 3D, like you're winding around corners and it's definitely a 3D game on a 2D plane. And you are Abe. You're super underpowered. Like whenever there are enemies around, you need to strategically think about how you want to proceed, which can be a little bit frustrating, or at least it was for me. I'm very early on. Like I said, I've only played an hour and a half, and you've got to throw down either a mine or a toxic vial that's going to start a fire in order to get these enemies that are very stupid, but if they see you, they shoot you and you die in like 2 or 3 hits, so pretty much instantaneously. But the reloads are instant, and I started to get a little bit more in the flow of things. like you hold L1 to walk stealthily, and they won't hear you when you're jumping that way. And just got a little bit better at aiming, lining up my shots with the water vials, the toxic vials, and the mines, which are the only 3 items that I've acquired so far. The first level, right out the gate, the game comes off with a pretty impressive cutscene that really kind of shows you that there's a lot more money behind this one than previous Oddworld games. Like it looks not like the best we've seen on the PS5, but definitely high quality stuff and pretty lengthy cutscenes. Like I think before I started playing, it was maybe 10 minutes of pretty intriguing and good setup for the game. And then the first level is very fast paced, an impressive set piece with lots of explosions, and you're running away and just intense platforming. And then the second stage is much more meticulous because you've got all these enemies to worry about. And I enjoyed the first one more. I mean, like the second one, I was getting a little bit frustrated, but it's fun finding all the nooks and crannies in the levels. It seems like there's a lot of hidden areas, and it's way too early for me to say whether or not I'm going to recommend this game unless if you have PS Plus, I do recommend at least checking it out because there's not a whole lot coming out in these past few weeks for the PS5, and yeah, it seems like at least worth giving it a try. So that's Oddworld Soulstorm.
Is it still kind of like a Lemmings kind of deal, or is it because I think the first one was like a Lemmings, like we had to like guide your people, and like the first one.
But so you haven't gotten to your people yet. The only things that you've interacted with your followers so far is there's this mechanic where you hold down L2 and you sort of start meditating, and this like mystical ball flies out of your head, and you use the left stick to direct it to overtake other enemies. You can't do it all the time because there are things that just prohibit you from doing it, that just zap you when you try to. But during this one neat part near the end of the second level, you are taking control of the enemies, and you're just shooting all the other enemies while your minions are trying to climb up this big fence to escape. And it'll actually tell you how many are dying and how many survive. So like there's 200 that can possibly survive in that second level. I got out with 114 still alive. So if I had been, a little better.
Sounds like a more hardcore Pikmin.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely had some Pikmin vibes, and just in that aspect, like totally different from a personality aspect, but I definitely see where you're coming from there. So yeah, you'll hear more about it next week. There's new thoughts. Had to play something new because literally the only other thing I've played this week is Watch Dogs Legion, which I want to check back on. But first, I want to talk to Kenny.
Oh, before we move on, I got a question for you on that to wrap up that quick talk about Outworld Soulstorm. What do you think is gonna be its critic points on Open Critic for Outworld Soulstorm?
77.
77, that's your guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's total guess, but it could be worse than that. It could be much better than that because there's no reviews up yet.
Yeah, they haven't dropped it yet, so ask him. Because I picked it up. I wanted to see what you thought I might be getting.
You picked it up on the fantasy draft?
Yes, sir. Real sly on the behind the scenes. I added Outworld Soulstorm to my list.
I could see it going either way. That's just a total guess. And it's funny that this just happened, but I just got a notification from the Epic Game Store that it's available there. So
really?
I thought it was a PS5 exclusive, but I guess it's $50 on the Epic Game Store.
That's wild.
My understanding, a lot more games are dropping also like hand in hand with like exclusivity on like Epic Game Store, things like that. Also dropping with the PS5. Only just a couple aren't going like that. But I remember Godfall was a PS5, but it was also came out Epic Game Store, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
And
I actually just downloaded that on my Mac, or at least the Epic Game Store on my Mac, because they just put Magic Arena on phones, so I played that, and that's how you have to play it through your computer, I guess, is through Epic Game Store.
Okay.
Interesting. So they made a new Magic game. You want to talk about that at all, or is it just
Yeah, it's a port from not a port, but it's been out for a little while. It was on PC. I was playing it a couple of years ago, and they finally got the mobile port, like Hearthstone, kind of up and running. So it's Magic the Gathering. If you've ever played it, the card game, it's the same thing. They just ported it to phones. It's got these cool little single player challenges, mainly based around like online matches. It's basically like Hearthstone. It's laid out a lot in the same way, but plays exactly how Magic the Gathering plays.
okay?
It's fun.
It's all. I mean, people know that Magic's a great game. It's just all about how it's presented.
Yep, they want you to sink your money real bad.
Do they?
Oh yeah.
I bet. So the other big, well, I would say the biggest release out this week, or maybe release on Friday, Outriders for the everything.
For everything,
it's on
except for
Steam,
Switch, I think.
Switch.
Yeah.
So it's the latest looter shooter. They say it's not a live service game, but it's certainly got live service aspects to it. We talked about the beta or the demo a couple of weeks ago, and Kenny had pretty positive things to say about it. He's playing it on the Series X. It's free on Game Pass, and seems to be blowing up on Steam as well. You seem to be excited about it from your facial expressions. Tell me what's going on.
I'm enjoying it a lot. Talking about it doing well on Steam. Actually, it debuted right at Steam with a higher concurrent player count than the Avengers game.
I'm not surprised.
Which you would assume the Avengers, being such a big IP, right, wouldn't have had the struggle. I think they topped at 29,000.
That's pretty easily.
Yeah, Outriders hit 119.
Wow.
I also saw that it topped Borderlands 2 and 3, but that comes with a caveat because 3 launched on the Epic Game Store for a few months.
So it was exclusive on Epic Game Store first.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, I saw that going around. So it's doing well. Mm-hmm. And that's not included with Steam Pass or anything. So people are paying $60 for it.
What's Steam Pass?
No, it's just a thing I made up.
I was gonna say, I'm like, what's that?
Right, like Steam trying to do their own Game Pass now too.
Yeah, right.
No, but honestly, I thought it was huge because I was gonna pre-order it and buy this game no matter what. And you guys remember how excited I got once I found out it was gonna be on Game Pass day one launch, right?
Day launch. So
started playing it, and I was happy to pick up my progress from where I left off in the demo. And the game, it's so good, right? So I'm in a higher tier level, world tier than I left off previously. So it's ramping up the difficulty where like I'm trying to solo missions and I'm really dying. Like, so I'm going in, you would think, oh, it's a looter shooter, just shoot just aimlessly and don't worry too much, you'll get through it, right? The higher the world tiers, the more this thing gets you sweating and really focusing on what you're doing and your loadout and how you're specking out your person. Like, I was just throwing up at class points and I was like, wait a second, whoa. I'm specking out my class points in a completely different play style than I'm actually playing as, I'm getting real nitty gritty in the action, real in your face with it. And I was spending my class points on just being like an assassin, So it really didn't make sense to my playstyle. So then I found the path that was all about close counter combat with my trickster, and you could tell the difference from that point on how much better my character's abilities and just damage, my damage output, how it was flowing. Now that I was speccing it correctly. Correctly to the weapons I needed to use as well.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm curious about is this game is what it's set up from in a selecting mission setup. Like, does it have a planet or a giant map that you warp to different sections of as you progress, or is it like Destiny where you're going to different planets?
So there is, in each section of the planet, there is this guy named Jacob, right? He's the one that drives your caravan, and you can go to him to leave each section of that planet. Like, you could go to him, talk to him, and you could like, hey, it's time to pack up and roll out. So then he'll give you the world map that then you could pick places you've already been to, right?
Okay.
And then
So
you'll
it's pretty, like a fast travel.
yep,
Just,
it's like a nice little fast travel. When it does have, after you arrive there, each time you arrive to a section in the game, you, as you progress exploring that map, you can set up mini camps. So it's just fast travel points that make moving around quicker.
Awesome. Very handy.
and so are you doing a lot of repeating missions, this type of thing, or is it the story keep on propelling forward as your character progresses, or is it more repeatable?
Because most of it is a lot of just killing just people and killing and clearing places, right? So the missions tend to, they'll have story behind it. Like, oh, you're not just, oh, just go kill these people because we want you to go kill these people. It'll be like, well, go kill these people because XYZ. Like, oh, I did one side mission where this old man was talking about how, he had this little shack with his family and some other people, other survivors that got run over and taken over by, outlaws and just bandits, right? So he's like, I would love to return, but I can't, I can't take those guys on. So then you go clear it up, and then you call them over on the radio, like, hey, I cleared it up for you. I'll wait for you here. So when he finally arrives, you go through a cutscene, and you actually get to see him. And like, he's like, oh, he walks you over, and you see that he's, paying respects to his family that he buried. And he's like, oh, this is why I asked you to do this. I really want to come back here, pay respects to my family, and just come back and get some belongings that I left behind. So the aspect is always just murder people left and right. But there's story behind it. Like, they give you, you just don't go murder people, finish it up, and then you're like, oh, okay, next mission. They'll give you a nice little cutscene, giving you added story as to why this was important to that character who asked it for you.
So I've heard a lot of mixed things about the story. Some people are just playing with friends and skipping through the cutscenes. Other people are saying that it's just weak, and I'm sure some are liking it. I've heard that it's one of the lesser parts of the game. What are your feelings on it?
It's not. Honestly, the story isn't anything to write home about. And I feel as though most of the time we don't play these looter shooters for the story, but it definitely is the weaker part of the game. I can agree to that.
And who knows, if the game is successful, they can make the story better.
They can expand it, exactly. Give some lore, add to it. Who knows how it ends, right?
Actually give it a story like Titanfall 2.
Exactly. But honestly, I think more than anything, I think it's meant to be just give you a good amount of just fights, and have you visually see how amazing it looks for different classes, abilities, all to be popping off at the same time all around.
Yeah.
Right. So definitely, I think they focus more on the gameplay and just enemy variations than the story, and that's fine with me. Yeah.
So the class you chose is Trickster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you said, up close and personal type of thing.
Yeah.
Are you playing, you said, mostly solo, or have you got any friends to join you yet?
I played with a couple people here and there. I keep missing out every single time Greg from kind of funny posts his world code. I keep missing out on that. Of course, people jump on it right away and jump in with him.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
So he'll post it every once in a while. Like, he'll be like, "Oh, world tier, XYZ, and here's the game. Here's the world code," and just letting people jump in with him.
I forgot to ask. So, world tier, is that just a difficulty you can adjust whenever, as high or low as you want?
Yeah, think about it like in Diablo stance. Whatever the tiers was for that, how we could increase it.
Right.
Like
25 of them, right?
Yeah, so Diablo had 25 of them. Outriders has 15 of them.
Wow.
And it'll literally tell you, like, so enemies, if you're playing at World Tier 7, I think the enemies have +3 or +4 level to them. So if you're level 14, they'll be level 18.
That sounds tough solo, but maybe doable with a group.
So, yeah. And then it also increases the rarity of the weapons and equipment. So it adds its difficulty, but it also adds its rewards. You know.
What do you think of the weapons so far? Are they varied and exciting enough?
Honestly, when it comes down to it, the weapons are nice little variety. So I roll around right now with a tactical burst assault rifle. So and I find it to be pretty good because with the mods that I have added to it, where I have a mod that's like a vampiric mod, so every hit generates some health back to me. But also the second mod that I added to it creates these chains that do damage over time on the enemy. So I could hit twice on one enemy, move on to the next one because the damage over time is gonna finish him off. And I cycle through my enemies like that. Sometimes I'll get overrun, and then that's where your class abilities kick in. Which I love the trickster's abilities.
There's multiple abilities.
So so you can equip 3 abilities at a time, right? It'll be I'm on Xbox, so it'll be left bumper, right bumper, and then both bumpers at the same time, right?
Word.
And one of my trickster abilities is where I create this stasis field, where I still run around inside that field at regular speed, but all the enemies that enter it get slowed, right?
Sounds fun. You're kind of selling me on it.
Oh man! So one of my ability combos that I do, right, is that once I see that I might get overrun by enemies, I'll just run around and just make sure that I kind of group them up, pop the stasis field, right, so that all of them are kind of just inside of it, kind of frozen. And the trickster has this cyclone dagger ability where he or she starts spinning and slashing everything it hits. So all the enemies are in the stasis, and I'm just spinning, attacking them all in the same spot. So I'm able to rip through mobs of them like that.
That's sick.
Nope.
So you're the trickster. If I were to download it, what class should I play?
Honestly, what style you want to go? If you're gonna go by yourself, right? If you decide to roll solo for a little bit, or even I can hop in with you from time to time. Do you see yourself
mostly solo?
Exactly. So you're thinking what, like a medium range, long range character?
Whatever's the most fun. Honestly,
I could see you if you want to just be in the thick of things and just out there. Another character I could see you maybe having some fun with is the Devastator. He is like a tank, and he has a bunch of nice abilities to go along with his tankiness. I think he's the one that can pop like a turret next to him. So waves of enemies could just jump on him, and I believe because of his abilities and skills, he could just kind of sustain himself throughout a fight pretty well. While he does some damage, and his turrets do damage as well.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. And I've been looking out for Series X very casually, not like I have been with the PS5, or I did with the PS5. But I really wanted to wait till I got that, but I guess smart delivery will take care of that if I start playing it on Xbox One.
Actually, I was gonna tell you a funny thing, right? I don't remember that you had gotten the Xbox One X, right? Through the access, right? The all access. I believe
I have Xbox One S. Yeah, I remember I bought. This is weird, but I bought the X, and I kept having internet issues with it.
Yes.
And I returned it and got the S just because, I don't know, I felt guilty about spending $1,000 all at once or something. I don't know.
I don't blame you, dude. I would too. It's hard. It's hard to go home and be like, fuck. It's like I got what I wanted, but was it worth it? It always is, but it's in that moment. It's hard to not have the buyer's remorse.
If I had the One X, I'm sure it would probably be still running pretty darn good.
Yeah. Honestly, you have the One S. From my understanding, it's not running too bad on it. Okay. You get me? I think if you run it on the One S right now, I recommend we don't play together, just because I think the scaling is gonna chug it a little bit. I think to run it solo, I think you'll be fine.
All right. Well, I do got other things on my plate, but I maybe will do that. So the other game that is real big in the gaming sphere right now is we Capcom just reported that they have shipped 5 million units already.
Wow.
For a Switch exclusive. It is Monster Hunter Rise, which Anthony has conquered. He has jumped on the backs of all the monsters, slapped them around, made them his bitch, chopped them up, made them into armor, celebrated with his dog and his cat, ate a bunch of things, and is king of the castle. So, give me some more thoughts. We talked about it a little bit last week. We're gonna talk
good.
About it
it was cool because as soon as I sent that message being like, just rolled credits on Monster Hunter Rise, it's you get the credits when you do 4-star, like you get 2 4-star missions or 4-star missions or quests. But that's just to pretty much take out like the main story monster. It's called the Magnamalo. It's like this big, I thought it was like a bear, but it's kind of like basically the bigger monsters are called like wyverns in the game.
Yep.
But it's like this big like pretty much like a behemoth. Have you seen like a behemoth from Final Fantasy? It's kind of like that. It's like this big thing on all fours, and it's got like this really cool purple smoke coming off of it, and it was sick. It was really cool to fight. But like after I finished the mission, and then it just like played a cutscene being like, "Good job, you stopped the rampage," and it was kind of underwhelming for at least the first. I think it's only the first set of credits because now games are doing these things where they give you like credits first, and then you get a couple different sets, or like that's not the true end of the game.
Really?
Yeah. But it's because that unlocks like two other tiers.
Quest do that? Dragon Quest 11?
Yeah, yep. Dragon Quest 11 did that. Good old Dragon Quest.
Can't think of anything
two
else,
endings
off the top of my head, except for fighting games, obviously.
Yeah, that's true.
But so
I did hear that game is getting a free update this month.
What?
Monster Hunter Rise. They're getting 2 new Apex Predators for you to hunt.
Ooh, hell yeah!
Added it.
That's gonna be sick.
And some other things, but yeah, if I find it, I'll send it over. I did read it. I did read it though that it was getting to an update where they were adding these extra hunts.
Mm-hmm. That'll be really cool. I know it's like been at least past entries in the series, especially World got a bunch of updates, a bunch of like live service stuff, which is really cool. And I really hope to like. I wish I did that or stuck around with World longer to like.
I hope they do another Witcher crossover.
Yeah, that was cool. I was watching like this whole retrospective of like Monster Hunter and like the games on YouTube, and it was like 2 hours long, but it was so cool to see like they did that. They did
Street Fighter 1 also.
Yeah. Yep, they did crossovers.
I swear there was another crossover.
Wasn't there a Nintendo one? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. For was there?
Wasn't Bayonetta? No. Like I'm trying to think of.
I think it was. Like they had Bayonetta, Link, or certain things. I know in the 3DS version they did.
They would have Link. I think he's too sacred.
They did in the 3DS. They had like these quests you could take where you could actually get like for the sword and shield weapon, you could get the Master Sword and Hyrule Shield.
Okay, well,
I'm
cool. Also remembering that of course we had Link and Soul Calibur too. So,
that'd be. I want to see that in a remaster or some kind of collection.
That'd be dope. That'd be
sick.
So the game that I talked about a decent amount last week, but now I am nearing the end, I believe. I have completely liberated London. I'm just finishing the rest of the side missions, and by liberating it, I just each sort of borough.
Yeah,
borough.
I'm always with a borough.
British. So I've cleared out all that stuff. Each one has 3 or 4 little objectives, like photograph the evidence here, or...
Is this Watch Dogs or Assassin's Creed?
Watch Dogs.
Okay.
Photograph evidence, or destroy propaganda, or take out VIP. Each borough, which there's like 8 or 9 of them, has 3 or 4 different ones that you can do. After you complete each one, somebody from there gives you a really fun side mission, which unlocks a really good character for the most part. And they're pretty unique and just unlike the rest of the game. Like one of them has you playing as a spider bot with a really challenging platforming sequence up a bell tower that you need to restore. The other one is you're playing as a drone, and it's sort of like a tower defense thing. And they're just some of the strongest parts of the game so far. Is those little end missions. The story, it's not like I'm like on the edge of my seat like The Last of Us, but I'm liking the characters for the most. Like there's ups and downs. I really like Bagley, who's your AI. Sort of think of there's this one British actor that has glasses and I can't remember exactly what he's from, but it's just sort of Shaun of the Dead type.
Was he in Shaun of the Dead? Like I'm thinking like the really like scrawny guy who kind of looks like
It's not one of the two main guys.
No, he's like a side character that they run into when they're trying to go like meet Liz. Yeah,
I think that is him.
Really?
I think that's what I'm thinking of.
I gotta.
And the game also has a legitimately funny radio station where they play this podcast called The Bug, where it's this British guy and this British gal. I don't think there's anybody that's not British in the game. Are just chatting back and forth about how shit London is nowadays and how bad that the people's privacy rights are being violated, and they just do it in a very cheeky and like fast-paced way. It was like, these guys have to be real comedians. These aren't just writers at Ubisoft, because
Dylan Moran, that's who it was.
Okay, thank you. But so I think it's got some of the best radio outside of Grand Theft Auto.
Hell yeah, that's what was my favorite part about Grand Theft Auto, at least the older ones.
Right, Laszlo. I mean, everybody thought it was great listening to him as well as, I forget who the other talking people are, but
I'm surprised. I'm very proud of you for remembering the name, because I have no idea.
Well, he's like does all the music for the show, or for the games, even in 5. Like I think he's like the curator. He has something. He works for Rockstar, the DJ Laszlo. So as far as I know, you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong.
Hey.
But yeah, Legion's been a really good time. You know, it's solid 8.5. Around there type of game for me. Probably 20-ish, 25 hours in. Still got plenty to do. Still got the multiplayer to check out. I think it's underrated, which I said last week, but I'll continue to harp on that.
The multiplayer must be interesting for that.
Not gonna lie, that thing, it's still, I think it's on sale right now in the what's it called, the spring sale for Xbox. So it's something I'm very much contemplating on picking up. And I'm a sucker for my rewards points. I have $60 sitting in my rewards points, so
there you go.
Either I pick it up using that.
I gotta get some Amazon reward points. I gotta use only like $36, but still.
That sounds better than nothing.
Better than nothing. I almost pre-ordered those Fortnite Joy-Cons. I think I said that last week.
Hell yeah. So you decided not to do that?
And I was like...
Yeah, you were like, yeah, Kenny was shitting on you. And I was being very supportive. Playing good cop, bad cop.
Okay, last game we've got on the outline that we want to discuss is Digimon World, the 1999 PlayStation 1 release that's available on emulators everywhere. And I looked up a couple YouTube videos before the show. Looks like it's got a little bit of a cult following. Sort of a Tamagotchi / what?
It's like a V-Pet. That's what it was. It was basically Digimon started as the game. The PlayStation 1 game actually came out before we got like the anime and all that, but it was based on, I have a little example here, the original like the Tamagotchi, the V-Pets. So this was like to rival like when Tamagotchi dropped, it's like, oh, that's for girls, that's pets, and it's like, no. Is Digimon. It's a digital pet that you can raise and then battle. Because Tamagotchis don't battle. Those are for girls. Girls don't fight.
Yeah, I had a Tamagotchi. I never thought it was girly.
Yeah, so same. I love Tamagotchi. I have the Game Boy game. I thought it was really cool. I like their little stupid, silly designs. And that's with the like baby and like in training forms for these, you have just like blobs or little bubbles. And then they transform into like dinosaurs. And then you get to be a bigger dinosaur with like a laser gun. And these are 2 laser guns.
I remember I went to sleepaway camp for like 4 nights, and I wasn't allowed to bring my Tamagotchi, and my mom had to take care of him. When I got home, she was like, "I'm really sorry, I really cried."
I'm sure you were devastated too. That's the worst, because you're like, I know mom's gonna kill it. Mom's gonna fucking kill my Tamagotchi. It's fucking dead.
I don't know if I like threw a tantrum or anything. I was like almost 10.
Yeah, I would have been upset. I'm like, man, that's wild. But yeah, it's just. I mean, it was based off the toys and everything, as everything was kind of in the 90s. Or a lot of things that took off was based around a toy to market to kids so they could buy. But I've been having a lot of fun with it. I had it when I was growing up. I've had it since I was little, the game at least, because I was a big monster catching fan, as everybody knows. But it's so convoluted, they don't tell you anything. The game is janky as fuck. It's got all the underlying systems when you're taking care of your Digimon. What I always loved, I think, is a big thing about it, is that you have them go poop. It's like literally taking care of a pet. They have these little speech bubbles that appear over their heads when they need something done, or like they're hungry, sleepy, tired. And they have to poop. Usually, you get this item that you have to find in one of the shops called Porta Potty. So you bring porta potties around with you. If not, you have to find a toilet out in the world, and that's a big pain in the ass because there's never around when you need one. But
when you're out in the wilds, which I imagine it's hard to come by a toilet.
It's funny because they'll just have some, like, you'll be walking through like a big forest or like jungle, and then you'll get to like the middle screen of the jungle, and it's sweet because they have all those like rendered backgrounds PlayStation 1 games are kind of famous for, like all the Resident Evil 1, Final Fantasy, those kind of backgrounds. But they'll just be like this little outhouse in the middle of nowhere. You're like, oh, I can shit there if I need to.
I can shit before this boss battle. Hold on.
I gotta go. And the combat is just kind of like you sit there, you can train their brain stat, and the higher you get their brain stat, the more commands you can give them in battle. But when they fight, you pretty much just send them out, and you're like, okay, hey, go, do your thing. Just, I hope I raised your stats enough. Just go kick the shit out of the other guy.
Nice. Okay. So if you're into that type of thing, that's Anthony's latest Digimon Kick, Digimon World. Look for it.
Follow a guide. Game facts.
Look for it on the internet. Get a guide. Look up that game fact. Print it out. Have an old school Saturday morning.
Hell yeah.
All right, so we are going to move on now into our topic of the show, which is looking back on the last few months and weeks where it seems like Xbox has got a lot of things going right. PlayStation's branding seems a little off. You know, they've had their missteps, but of course they're doing just fine. They released the information that they sold 4.5 million PlayStation 5s in December alone, which was more than they had of PlayStation 4 during that time, which, as we all know, was quite a successful console. So let's talk about let's just run down a few of the things that PlayStation has gotten wrong and Microsoft has gotten right, and what we think it means. So the show, MLB The Show, long-standing PlayStation exclusive, the only MLB game gets announced a few months back that it's coming to Xbox. Everybody's like, oh, wow, PlayStation Studios game coming to Xbox. That's going to be wild. Mm-hmm. And we get that much wilder news just a few days ago that it's going to be coming to Game Pass day one on the Series S and X. And I don't know about PC, do you?
Not from what I've heard yet, no.
I don't think so, but... And it's not coming to PS Plus that we know of, and it's not for April, unless they shadow drop it, but I doubt they will. And in fact, it's costing $70, just like several other PlayStation exclusives so far, such as NBA 2K21, Returnal, which comes out in a few weeks.
That'll be sweet.
Ratchet and Clank, which comes out a few weeks after that. Demon's Souls. So it's not all of them. Sony's like, our top tier games are going to be 70. We're still going to charge 60 for Little Big Planet and 50 for Miles Morales. So a little bit unpredictable there. So why don't we, before moving on, Kenny, what do you think this means? Obviously, you like Xbox a lot, so you feel like gloating. So go ahead.
Get out of the way.
Honestly, I think this is just Xbox, just hammering through the stance that, listen, this generation of video games, we are all about our player base. We're not here. I think they made it very clear. They don't care about the argument about, which console is better. No, they're saying whose experience is better, not whose console is better, right?
Interesting way to put it.
And I think that's the point that they're hammering through. They're like, okay, of course, PlayStation is killing it with the PS5 sales. We know it. It's a great console, amazing console. They're both amazing consoles. PS5 got the haptic feedback on the controllers. Amazing tech, right? Well, Game Pass is the selling point for Xbox. That's the future. They've invested heavily in it, and this is what we're seeing. The people who believed in it and joined on Game Pass and were like at the beginning stages where Game Pass really was good, like, oh my god, I got it because it's different. But what games are on here are now seeing, they're reaping what they sowed, and now we're seeing
it's just exponentially better than it was.
Super,
not super.
Oh my god,
better, not exponentially, but
because I remember when Game Pass first dropped, it was like, oh, like what game? Like I own most of the games that are here that are games that I really want to play. It was things like that, and now it's like you got indie games dropping there that you're like, wow, this is amazing. Like you have people raving about Narita Boy, and I haven't played it yet. Yeah,
me neither.
But I'm hearing great things about it.
I started up late one night, and there was all this like dialogue, and I was like, "Nah, fuck this."
So I hear this; it's amazing. The soundtrack's amazing on it. So you get indie titles that are smash hits dropping on it, right? Then you got AAA titles now dropping on it, and something like this, like MOB, it just shows you like the Xbox is investing the money, and they're telling you we're gonna bring you great content to Game Pass.
Who got the money from this deal? Like
so
was it Sony? Was it the MLB?
It's MLB actually, because what a lot of people forget is that the developer, of course, is Sony, right?
Yep.
But the publisher is actually MLB.
Oh wow! Okay.
So that is why this deal was able to get done, because ultimately PlayStation and Sony aren't the publishers to this game. They're just the developers. MLB actually is publishing, the show.
So I think the show's probably going to blow up. Not just, well, I guess a lot of big part in due to this, but for a long time it's been stuck on Sony's platform, and I think it's great that it went multi-platform. I wish I hadn't paid $5 for MLB 20 just a couple of days before this was announced, because I could get 21 for free.
Yeah.
So, but that's no big deal. I think it's a BFD, big fucking deal. So
big fucking deal.
Yes, it is.
Let's see. Other things that have in the last few months just sort of tipped the scales a little bit towards Microsoft. We had the finalization of the Bethesda deal, where they confirmed that a lot of the games going forward would be Xbox exclusive. We still don't know if maybe they were far enough along in a Starfield PS5 version that they're thinking it doesn't really make sense not to put it out. We can charge $60-$70 and people are going to eat it up. But it sort of seemed like you can feel safe to assume that beyond that, Elder Scrolls 6, Fallout 5, whenever that happens, that they will likely be exclusive to the Xbox, which is pretty darn hard not to see as a major selling point.
And day one on Game Pass.
That's wild.
On Game Pass, yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting to see whether or not that actually is sustainable in a profitable fashion, because Microsoft's got to be kind of bleeding money right now. I feel like they're investing big time, but I don't think the profits for Microsoft are there. That could be there for developers that they're giving the money to, but in the long term, is making all these big deals like, they must think that you got to spend big to win big, because
I'm not sure. I would love. You know what I'm gonna do one day? I'm gonna shoot my shot from full court. Right, I'm gonna send Phil Spencer a message, see if we could get him or get Major Nelson in here. Try and talk to us about just some. I know they can't reveal all of it, but a
little behind the scenes magic.
So a little behind the scenes, whatever they can give us, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, Jim Ryan's been on the record, I believe, who is the CEO right now of Sony Interactive Entertainment. So he's got a lot. He's sort of the Phil Spencer equivalent. He's a lot more, I guess, buttoned up and business focused than it seems Phil is more about, or at least he has the persona. I'm sure he's quite business focused, but he's got a good reputation, and Jim Ryan doesn't at the moment.
Honestly, Phil, I follow Phil on Twitter. Phil's on Twitter super active, always conversing, always replying back to people under his thing. So the guy's all over the place. Him, Larry, that whole Xbox team, Aaron, that handles like a lot of their PR stuff and their product stuff.
Sony needs some new faces. I mean, like back when the PS4 first started, that's where they were killing Microsoft. They had Shuhei. They had who's the dude with glasses that went on to that he was sharing the game with. He's a developer now, but
yes.
but I forget his name. But they just had more, and they had the guy that came out with and said, "It is coming to Vita." They were just more of a relaxed and gamer-focused company, and now they're like, "Yes, we have The Last of Us and Spider-Man and Uncharted and Ghost of Tsushima, and our games look better than anyone else's," which is true. But
they're acting very elitist now.
Mm-hmm.
They are a little they're acting. I mean, it's not as bad as maybe right when the PS3 came out, which I've heard about. You know, like they said, you're going to need a second job to pay for this thing. And it like came out and said it was $599.
That's like how I feel about eating at Buffalo Wild Wings. I take out a loan.
Nah, but honestly, I honestly think that it just their consumer friendliness and just geared towards the player. It just spews past their the products that they're putting out. It just even on social media you see it, you know, just the interactions just from different employees and just there. I follow a good amount of Xbox employees, and it's just all around. It seems like they're having fun with what they're doing and they're excited with it. And the fact that they're at this point in time just poking fun. Like already 2-3 times in a row, Phil Spencer has had little hints at products that were coming out in the future in each of the last products like review. So they had the Series X hidden in the background, and then in one of the opening videos introducing the Series X and the X, right? Like when it launched, they had the brand new wireless headsets in that video, and nobody noticed it. You know.
Sneaky. I'm sure there was like some kind of analysis video. So people were just like, people get crazy now with that.
Afterwards, like after the announcement, people were like, "Oh, look, they hit it! They hit it in plain sight again." Picked up.
Yeah.
And he's got to love just like, I'm gonna put a little Dante figurine up here, or like,
yeah.
Oh, he's always doing random things. So So at this point in time, people are always like analyzing what's on his desk, what's in his background, what's all around him when he's doing videos. Because they're like, what are we picking up on? What hints is Phil dropping that we're not catching?
I don't want to, and I do think it's awesome that Game Pass is killing it so much right now, and it's an incredible value. But and I've talked about how Sony is charging $70 for certain games, and they come up as elitist and everything. Which, yeah, I can see that. I mean, the PlayStation blogs are still personable and everything, but I want to give them credit where credit's due. I mean, we did just see that coming to PS Now, which is a completely underdeveloped and underutilized service, is getting Borderlands 3, The Avengers, and those are the big two. And then Sony just did this thing a few weeks ago where they just randomly said, "Here's 9 free games." Like, granted, I had played most of them, but you know, there was Abzu, Enter the Gungeon, a few much
Subnautica, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Think they dropped Ratchet and Clank as one of them.
Right, which people should pick up, and they can if they have the PS5, they're doing like a 60 FPS boost to it.
Nope.
Wow.
And what are they calling it? They're play at home.
The summer play at home. They did it last year. I forget, but I think they did like 4 or 5 games last year.
So this year they've got 5 games and then 4 PlayStation VR games.
Nope.
VR games are supposedly excellent. If you have a VR, you probably already have them. Moss, Astrobot, Paper Beast, and Thumper. Thumper can be played out of VR and is freaking awesome. People that are into rhythm games and atmosphere and a good challenge, play that game. Have you guys played Thumper?
No.
Oh, dude, we played it, Anthony, at your house right when it came out.
Oh yeah, that was wild. I loved watching you guys play that. That was sweet. That was a good night. We played a lot of games. When we also played, was that the same night you got was it the Crash when Crash first came out, the remasters? I think.
Yep. I think we might have recorded a Nice Slice or something like
Yeah, that was we did. But it was when we first were doing them, we did a bunch of the PlayStation ones, and then we did that that other PlayStation 4 game. I forget what it was, but it was like a top down.
Right. It was another one from Housemarque, who is the developer of Returnal. It was their one sort of in between. Next Machina. Got it.
Yeah, that was cool. That was fun.
So, I don't think that PlayStation is necessarily being anti-consumer. I just think they're having a hard time keeping up with Microsoft, who the much bigger company. Not that Sony's not huge, but Microsoft is one of the biggest companies out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have the means to be as aggressive as Microsoft is doing right now. I think they're maybe sort of staying in their lane, doing what they know people like, sticking with the big AAA games, and just sort of dipping their toes into the free stuff as much as they can in order to remain, in good graces.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that it's fine. I think that Sony doesn't really need to jump around and be like, oh, we got to match them toe for toe. I think that the great thing about having two different companies is that you get best of both worlds,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the things I'm leaning more towards is just I'm a Xbox. I love my Xbox, right? I love it, and doesn't mean that I haven't been because previous to the Xbox, I am before the OG Xbox and all of that. I had PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, and I loved it. Didn't have the PS3, but got the PS4. These are great systems. Great games always drop on it. I'm tired of the console wars. I just want whoever gives me great games, I'm gonna enjoy it and love it, right? I'm just always gonna. What I advocate at this point in time is not just Xbox, but the Game Pass. I think that the Game Pass is the big thing that people should be trying.
Right, you can do it on your phone.
No,
it's true.
Cloud gaming on your phone. You could be playing it on PC. I haven't tried it nowadays because I have been eyeing the Razer Kishi. I'm thinking about
Xbox.
I've been thinking about picking up the Razer Kishi so I could play on my phone, which is a nice little setup instead of just using one of my controllers.
Oh, okay. Is that like a little attachment that you...
Yeah, so it attaches both sides.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, word. Would you have to get a new phone?
No. Actually, it works. It works perfectly with the Samsung Note 20.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been skeptical about those, like the little attachments, but I mean, I'm sure they work if they've been.
Yep.
So 3-4 months from now, after we've seen, I guess, what are the big games coming out before here and then? And I guess we got E3. That's going to dictate a lot about what we know about.
We also got Deathloop next month.
Oh, yeah, right. And that is a PS5 exclusive for a year or so. That'll probably come to Game Pass.
Yep. So Deathloop is on the slate for May. So we got Resident Evil Village, Deathloop.
Doesn't really help or hurt either. Or no, it helps both.
Yep. I think June we got Ratchet and Clank, right? We got Mario Golf Super Rush. We also got Scarlet Nexus.
I'm just wondering if there are any that can sort of, I sort of a gimmicky thing, but round one I thought PS5 had the stronger launch with Miles Morales and Demon Souls and Bug Snacks and Astro's Playroom, and then Xbox is sort of won the last few months.
I would say round 3 is gonna come down to how, because everybody has a nice little summer. It's gonna be because the summer is always how you hype up your fall and holiday games, right? Yep. So it's gonna all come down to the digital events, how they perform in the Sony already said they're not at E3, but Nintendo and Xbox are gonna participate in E3 when it happens. You also know they're gonna progress. They're also each gonna respectively have their own digital showcases, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really just gonna come down to round 3. Who has the better hype in the digital showcases? Because I don't think there's really anything huge that's gonna drop and be like, oh, round 3 PlayStation's getting there because of this game or so forth.
They made up the wrong thing.
Oh, well, it might also be led by Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank might come out, and you might be like, "Well, Sony's digital showcase was meh, but Ratchet and Clank is top notch." You know.
What about Returnal? Is such a big question mark. It's
yeah.
the studio's first AAA game.
Returnal looks amazing. Really does.
Does look pretty darn cool. But is it going to be a $70 game, or is it going to get like a 78 on Metacritic and be wait for a sale type? We never know.
Yeah, we never know until it drops.
True.
So I think that's pretty much going to do it for the show this week. I was going to briefly mention, and I wonder if Kenny, if you had any thoughts, that there's been rumors swirling that there's going to be some sort of Xbox event soon. Have you seen any scuttlebutt about that?
I've seen some of those rumors floating around. I think that we won't hear anything specific until either they're further along with some more, until they feel that some more of their games that they want to show off are more polished, or until they really have hashed out what Bethesda games to expect in the next couple of years. And one last thing I would say that they might want to mention is, if they do get this finalized deal with Discord, is to talk about the upcoming integration of Discord into Xbox. Because
that's wild.
Because the funny thing is that,
to be honest,
the funny thing is that Discord and Xbox have already been working about a year and a half, 2 years now, on integrating Discord into Xbox. So prior to even trying to facilitate this deal, they've already been working together.
Man, I don't know. Didn't Microsoft mess Skype up, or did they mess this one up too?
No, they didn't mess Skype up. It was just they attempted to integrate it, and it was like, like whatever. People kind of just stopped using Skype.
It fizzled out.
Yeah, it fizzled out. But Discord, I and also at the time that they picked up, that Microsoft picked up Skype, they picked it up and didn't know what to do with it. With Discord, there was a very big already kind of like their sights on, wow, this is gonna help with cross-play chat.
So yeah, I think you're right there, and I just want to touch on one thing, and then we'll sign off. You said you were gonna go get Mario 3D All Stars. Were you able to get that?
Yes, I did.
I picked it up
5 days after it was off the shelves.
In the big backlog at Best Buy.
I'm seeing this story on Screen Rant that it's already being sold on eBay for super high prices.
I think somebody had it on eBay already for $45,000.
Wait a couple years, buddy. Holy shit! Jumping the gun.
Jumped the gun fully. Like what?
We'll just keep it up there.
And it was just a game. Like imagine, I would have rather preferred like, oh, here's a Switch with the game installed on it. $45.
Yeah.
I got it digitally just because I wanted to not have to get the game cart whenever I wanted to,
put it in
Sunshine or anything. Just like, I usually playing one Switch cart at a time, and most of my Switch is indie stuff, so it's digital. And I didn't think that they would be that valuable, just because I'm like, well, they're going to sell millions and millions of these things. It's not like they're going to be hard to find pre-owned or anything, but
yeah, right now at least.
We'll see. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching or listening to the Level With You show. And we will see you next week. Hopefully, we're joined by a phantom producer.
Goodbye.
Oh, yeah. See you later.